The United States has struck Iran's nuclear infrastructure while opening the door to a landmark civilian nuclear partnership with one of Tehran's biggest regional rivals. Saudi Arabia's long-standing ambition to develop a civilian nuclear program has taken a major step forward under President Trump. The Trump administration is moving to transform Saudi Arabia into a major nuclear energy player through American technology. The agreement could reshape the balance of power in the Middle East by giving Riyadh unprecedented access to advanced nuclear capabilities. The United States and Saudi Arabia announced a historic civilian nuclear cooperation agreement on July 22. The Trump administration says the deal marks a major step towards strengthening long-term strategic ties with Riyadh, according to Al Jazeera. Washington describes the agreement as a strategic partnership focused on energy security and regional cooperation. U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright said, and I quote, "These agreements reflect our two nations' shared commitment to strengthening U.S.-Saudi commercial relations, delivering prosperity at home and security to our allies abroad. Rest assured, these agreements uphold the highest standards of nuclear safety and non-proliferation while relying on the world's best nuclear technology and scientists, designed right here in the United States." Unquote. The multi-billion-dollar agreement will now be submitted to the U.S. Congress for review, according to Al Jazeera. American companies are expected to provide Saudi Arabia with advanced civilian nuclear technology under the agreement. The partnership is structured under Section 123 agreement of the U.S. Atomic Energy Act. Officials say the pact also includes safeguards designed to ensure peaceful civilian nuclear cooperation. Washington maintains that the agreement fully complies with strict nuclear safety and non-proliferation standards. Reports suggest the agreement could eventually allow Saudi Arabia to enrich uranium on its own soil. The U.S. Energy Department has not confirmed whether uranium enrichment is included in the final arrangement. Experts note that uranium enrichment can fuel civilian reactors, but can also be used in nuclear weapons programs. If enrichment rights are included, the issue is expected to face intense scrutiny in the U.S. Congress. The enrichment question is likely to become the most closely watched element of the entire agreement. The agreement comes as military confrontation between the United States and Iran continues to escalate. President Trump has repeatedly insisted that Iran must never obtain a nuclear weapons capability. The Saudi nuclear agreement is expected to spark fresh debate over Washington's long-term strategy in the Middle East. President Donald Trump has approved a landmark 30-year civil nuclear cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia, according to an AP report. The proposed agreement could allow Saudi Arabia to develop a domestic uranium enrichment capability for its civilian nuclear energy program. Reports said the deal would place American companies at the center of Saudi Arabia's long-term nuclear development efforts. The proposal also includes a joint US-Saudi study on building a uranium enrichment facility inside the kingdom. The deal is expected to be submitted to the U.S. Congress, where lawmakers are likely to raise concerns over nuclear proliferation. According to the Wall Street Journal, the agreement is not expected to include the IAEA's additional protocol for enhanced nuclear inspections. The decision comes as Washington continues its broader campaign to curb Iran's nuclear program and regional influence. Experts have warned that allowing Saudi uranium enrichment could create a future pathway toward a potential nuclear weapons capability. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has previously said Saudi Arabia would match Iran if Tehran were to acquire a nuclear bomb. The proposed agreement differs from the earlier UAE-United States nuclear deal, which prohibited uranium enrichment and set a stricter non-proliferation benchmark. Donald Trump has ordered a 12th consecutive night of U.S. airstrikes against Iran, signaling that Washington has no intention of easing military pressure. The latest wave of attacks marks another major escalation as missiles and warplanes continue striking targets across Iran. U.S. Central Command says the campaign is focused on reducing Iran's ability to threaten commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command statement read, and I quote, "At 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time today, U.S. forces began launching more strikes against Iranian military targets at the Commander-in-Chief's direction. The mission will continue to further degrade Iran's ability to threaten civilian mariners and commercial vessels transiting regional waters, unquote. At 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on July 22nd, U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, forces completed another round of strikes against Iran for the 12th consecutive night. U.S. forces struck Iranian military targets including maritime capabilities, missile and drone storage facilities, coastal surveillance sites, and air defense assets. The strikes further degrade Iran's ability to attack civilian mariners and commercial vessels. This month, American forces have targeted dozens of Iranian military sites on land while resuming a blockade against Iran at sea. As of today, CENTCOM has redirected 9 commercial vessels and disabled one to prevent ships from entering or departing Iranian ports. More than 50,000 U.S. service members are operating across the Middle East and remain highly vigilant, focused, lethal, and ready, unquote. Fresh explosions have been reported around Iran's Bushehr region as Iranian media accuses the United States of expanding its campaign. Blasts were also reported near Avaz, while explosions echoed through Sirik in southern Iran. Iranian media says areas near the Shalamcher border crossing with Iraq also came under attack. According to Press TV, the United States struck a rest area used by Iranian police officers near the crossing. Iranian reports claim 3 people were killed in the strike at the Shalamcher border crossing. Meanwhile, CENTCOM insists that Iran cannot dictate access to the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Central Command statement read, and I quote, "Claim, today, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, Navy claimed that it controls exit and entry to the Strait of Hormuz, suggesting that international mariners can only use routes the IRGC prefers. This is false. Fact: Iran does not control the Strait of Hormuz. The international waterway remains open for transit regardless of IRGC threats and attacks. Commercial vessels continue to use the strait with U.S. military support. Since early May, American forces have helped more than 900 ships transit the strait." Unquote. The United States says it has successfully escorted hundreds of commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz despite repeated Iranian threats. At the same time, Iran's foreign minister is warning that anyone supporting American attacks could also become a legitimate target. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said, and I quote, "Our defense doctrine is clear: eye for an eye. Any aggression against Iran, including our infrastructure, will compel a powerful and decisive response. Those who contribute to such aggression, whatever the kind of support, will also be considered as legitimate targets." Unquote. Iran's top diplomat has delivered one of Tehran's strongest warnings yet, signaling that the conflict could rapidly expand beyond direct US-Iran confrontation. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said, and I quote, "The equation of this war is clear: either all or none. In a region where we do not sell oil, no one will sell oil. If our security is not ensured, no infrastructure will be safe, and the security of the strait is in the absence of American forces. We have repeatedly said that the situation of the strait will not return to pre-war conditions." Unquote. Iran is warning that the latest US strikes will be met with an even stronger response. Initial reports also indicate explosions near Jordan's Aqaba port, raising fears that the conflict is spreading even further. The IRGC has also claimed responsibility for a drone raid targeting US military facilities in Kuwait. Kuwaiti air defenses remain on high alert as they continue intercepting hostile drones. The Kuwait Army statement read, and I quote, "The Kuwaiti air defenses are currently confronting attacks by hostile drones, following the sinful Iranian aggression." The General Staff of the Army notes that any explosion sounds, if heard, are the result of air defense systems intercepting the hostile attacks. Everyone is requested to adhere to the security and safety instructions issued by the competent authorities. Unquote. Meanwhile, Yemen's Houthis say they have launched fresh attacks on 2 Saudi oil tankers. The group claims both vessels violated what it describes as its naval blockade.
The Yemeni armed forces carried out a coalitive military operation targeting 2 Saudi oil tankers that violated the blockade imposed by the armed forces in the Red Sea. One tanker was named Celia and the other is Layla, and the operation was carried out by a number of ballistic and cruise missiles, as well as drones. The strikes were precise thanks to Allah's grace and assistance, and resulted in a large fire broke out on both vessels. In the same context, the Yemeni armed forces forced approximately 10 ships to retreat and return. The armed forces will continue their naval operations against the Saudi enemy and will persist in enforcing the siege for a siege equation. We affirm to the Saudi enemy that any follow aggression targeting our country will be met with large-scale operations deep within its territory, and the consequences will be dire for it by Allah's will and power.
The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations confirmed an incident southwest of Saudi Arabia's Al Shuqaiq. British maritime authorities said no casualties or environmental damage have been reported so far. From the Strait of Hormuz to the Red Sea, the conflict is now expanding across multiple strategic waterways. Missiles, drones and attacks on commercial shipping are pushing the Middle East war into an even more dangerous phase.